Okay, we will call the September 26, 2023 Board of Public Works and Safety to order. Mr. Spidell on the way in told me that he's in the 20-minute parking zone, so that I have to hustle up through this meeting, so.
It's never been a problem before.
I'll do my best, yeah, I'll do my best to maintain my
So am I.
record. Lindsay, are there any additions or subtractions to the agenda?
No.
Seeing none, I believe we were all here at the last meeting, so I will go ahead and ask for a motion for the consent agenda.
Motion.
Motion by Jeff, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jason, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to the resolutions, determining special benefits and modifying and confirming Barrett Law preliminary resolution. It's a mouthful. Rich?
It is a mouthful. For the record, Rich Bassett, Asset Manager, Department of Engineering. The first thing up here today is determining special benefits and modifying, confirming Barrett Law preliminary resolution. And if you all will recall, we visited this initially back in March. At that time, we presented a preliminary resolution to the board, which was approved, and that is that got the ball rolling on the Barrett Law process for the improvement of private roads, Britton Park Drive, Trade Center Drive, and Park East Court. Throughout the last 6 months, we've gone along this process of trying to find out some more information to be more accurate, including putting the project out to bid so we had actual construction costs. We did so. You will see, let's see here. I have the actual construction costs of this particular Barrett Law Road segment of $1,209,369.65. We have been in constant communication with the Property Owners Association and thereby the property owners themselves of Barrett West. There are 22 total properties. We've heard back from 10 of those properties that they would be willing to pay for these improvements up front. So I know that was a question and concern the board had. We've heard from 3 that intend to finance this. Even with the other 9 we've not heard from, we come in right at our not to exceed amount, which is what the modification is. So from that March meeting, we initially had a number of 2.7 million, not to exceed amount, and that was revised downward to 1.9 million. So a bit of a long haul here. There's a lot of various moving parts to this, so happy to answer any questions the board has on it.
Thank you, Rich. Clarification, the 1.9, is that including the financing costs?
It does.
So that's all in through the life of the amortization?
Correct. So if you took the folks who are going to pay up front and then the folks who are going to finance throughout the amortization, that includes that cost.
And then, go ahead, Jim.
So, I know I'm going to jump ahead here just for a second, but on the item number 7, which is the contract itself, so you talk about alternate bid, full depth reclamation. Can you just explain about it?
Sure.
I had, but I think it's related to these 2 items.
Yeah, so on this particular set of roads, we actually looked at 2 options. A full reconstruction, just because of the condition of the road, and then what's called full depth reclamation, which is essentially a milling up of the existing material with some of the subgrade, creating a new base out of that material, and then putting new road surface over the top. It's sometimes more economical. There was not a great enough difference between that and a full reconstruction, which is ultimately a better product, and so we've chosen the full reconstruction. So the alternate bid portion will not be pursued in this.
Okay, thank you.
So Rich, on the 9 that haven't responded, I mean, they just receive a bill? I mean, what's the process there?
That is for the board actually to determine the length of that bond and
Okay.
how that is billed, whether it's semi-annually, annually, that is still to be determined by the board itself.
So,
There's still another step after
Right.
construction's complete, and the project will come back to the board to assess the cost to each
Okay.
property, and so notice will be given to the property owners.
Okay.
so maybe Lindsay, to just spell out the statutory process here. Today, we're gonna say we're moving forward, and we're gonna set a not to exceed number. And then, there, for lack of a better term, there's a true up at the end that really spells out what specifically each person's gonna pay.
Correct.
The remonstration period starts after we set the not to exceed number today, is that correct?
Yes, there's a,
And that goes
period
for
to object.
how long? 5
5
days?
days, yes.
So there's a 5-day period after we set the not to exceed amount today, that a certain number of petitioners could come forward and say, we don't,
Object to the
we
project.
object to this process, we don't wanna do this. And what is the threshold for that?
40% of the property owners.
Okay. And have they all been alerted to the fact that that will start today?
Yes, we've communicated that to them and to the Property Owners Association.
And the appropriate person for them to notify for a remonstration would be what, they sign a,
It's
Document.
actually an objection that they have to,
they file that, or what, how does that work?
great question. It's actually filed with the board.
Okay.
And then we'll have to come back and take a look at those objections.
So
if they meet the
my
threshold.
only ask, in full transparency and making sure everybody has equal opportunity of the process, is that we could even delay that remonstration or extend that remonstration period and then get a letter out to every person, every owner, and literally spell out, if you wanted to object, here's how you would file your objection. Because I don't know that the average person would know, if they're not at a meeting standing up like you are and saying, I object, how would they know how to file that objection?
Oh, it's in the statute.
Well, but I don't
But
know the
as
average
far as-
person's,
yeah.
you know, reading the statute.
Really?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so if you want us, we can always get a letter out to the property owners
What's that? Yeah,
or an email or their POA.
This is
Yeah.
Randy Truitt, he's the
Right.
property manager.
Good morning.
Hey.
All the owners have been communicated on the 5-day remonstration,
Okay.
starting today with, I think I had communicated to the clerk is who the objection letter, there wasn't a form, correct me if I'm wrong, there wasn't a true form that has to be completed, but just a letter of objection. They have been communicated,
Okay.
and I plan to, depending on the results of this,
Yeah.
to do a follow-up.
Okay.
Of
As
the-
long as no one can come back and say, there was no effort made to like communicate how to object, that's my main
Yeah,
concern.
and we have done it, like I said early, I will do it again today.
Yeah.
If you decide to extend that 5-day, then I'll know that before I leave.
As
but-
long as they've been notified already, I don't feel like we need to extend it. But if they had not been notified and we have to send out a letter, I don't wanna send a letter in the mail today that gets there 3 days later and gives them a date of.
Yeah, I think the tricky part is, and there was 2 more of that, I think you were doing Fishers first, is that who you were just talking about of the 10? There were 2 more that are cash,
this is-
up one time.
This is Fisher's Trade.
Trade Center, yeah, so there's 2 more that responded since I sent you that information. I think the only tricky part is there are a number of owners that are out of state that we do not have email communication. Most of the owners through this process, we've had a great communication via email, but that would be my only concern. So like the information
Yeah.
lately has been mailed to those individuals
Okay.
because I don't have email.
Yeah.
So that would be the only thing that would.
I mean,
come into
I
play.
have no problem giving some extra,
What's your recommendation then?
I mean, I
Versus
think
5 days.
I think we've gone so long through this process, waiting a couple extra days as goodwill gesture. I don't think it has to
All
be
right, 2
anything
weeks.
too crazy. I know most of the owners that have participated vigorously in this
Yeah.
process are looking forward to
Moving on.
not getting emails from me
Right, right.
any longer. But I think a couple days wouldn't hurt from
why
that
don't we
standpoint.
just make it 2 weeks and
Mr.
call it?
Rich, do you have any concern of a delay of, or extension of
Does it delay or-
remonstration?
The only concern that comes to mind is the actual construction work itself. We are obviously working against the calendar on that front. The third item that we have on this agenda is the bid award for the contractor who has bid on this project. Any delay in that, I'd have to.
I thought they were, aren't they doing the majority of this work next year?
They actually wanted to do a good portion of this, at least on the west side, still yet this year. So while the contract with them, or the date in the contract does run through April 30th of next year,
Well, if we're being realistic, if you start today, we're talking about maybe 10 working days.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's gonna swing the contractor one way or another. Talking about 5 days.
yeah, I'm not saying it does. I just know
Yeah.
they've relayed concerns to me on the calendar is all.
So,
In addition to what Randy had said there, we are streaming this meeting live as well, which is a bit unusual. And we did send out mail a letter to each of the property owners to their assessor's address of today's meeting. So hopefully many of them who are not in state are watching online as well.
Would there be, Lindsay, would there be a requirement for us to amend the resolution to change the date of the remonstration?
No, there's nothing in the
Just-
resolution. at
There's
all.
nothing that, okay. Well, I mean, I'm comfortable extending it. If it's a 5 days from today, making it, 5 more days, making it a 10-day
Yeah.
period of time, I don't feel like is exorbitant, so,
That would actually be great, and then we can, if we do get objections, we can hear them at the next
Yeah.
meeting. And
yeah, right, so by the next, yeah. So what would be the date of that then for a
10-10.
cut-on? 10/10? Well, that'd be 5, yeah.
It's 2 weeks, 2 working weeks.
One question for legal. I know there was conversation about the time to object was at the time of the assessment when construction was complete with one of the property owners. What is the difference between that objection period and what we have here now?
So this is to order the project to be completed, so the 5-day period is for somebody to come in and object to the project.
Okay.
Once the project's complete, there's another hearing and the assessment of
That's
the
where someone
actual
could
costs,
contest
and
their
then-
assessment, saying it's
Exactly.
disproportionate or whatever.
Right.
Okay,
Makes
thank
sense.
you.
But so, I mean, someone may object, and it's possible. Are we not doing this project if someone objects?
If it hits the threshold,
40%.
40%, then it would come back to us to vote, or would
Yeah,
it,
you can determine whether to abandon.
you can override it at that point? So,
Okay. But asking again, I mean, in a different way, these roads have to be repaired. Is that a non-negotiable?
well, I mean, there's 2 different avenues there, right? If 70% of the people came back, which I don't think is going to happen, but if 70% of the people came back and said, we don't want this, then we would probably have to enter a different discussion which says, you guys need to go fix your roads, kind of
Right.
thing.
Okay.
It would be a different avenue.
I think that risk is low.
I agree.
The POA has held
Yeah.
meetings.
Yeah.
If you
Right.
recall, a couple of meetings ago, we had that agreement that came forward to where they were going to dedicate the road, and they had pretty good attendance there. So if everybody that was in agreement to the agreement to dedicate is still in agreement, then it wouldn't even
I think
be
if we give 10 days
Yeah.
for people, just so that nobody can claim a clerical issue, kept them from being able to exercise their democratic right to come forward and say why they believe this is a bad idea. Award the contract and just hold the notice to proceed until the 10 days is up, and then you can turn them loose right after that. I think that's a reasonable
Yeah.
path forward.
I didn't-
So
yeah, I didn't hear any
We would like to
issues.
see a letter go out today to the property owners.
It sounds like there's already been some pretty proactive communication. If we could send one more that just says, here again, it started, you have 10 days, here's how you do it. And then, we'll
Yeah.
wait and see for the next meeting.
What was the date of that extension? Did you guys put on
10-10.
that? 10/10?
Well, 10/10 is the next meeting.
But that's also 10
So-
days, right? 10
It's
working
just
days.
Brad.
Oh, okay.
Are you good?
Yeah.
Is you-
Exactly what you just did.
Okay.
Can we give them till 10/9 so that we know for the next
Yeah.
meeting?
Oh, I
That's
see
fine.
what
So
you're
Yeah.
saying.
10/9.
So 9 days.
October 9th.
And the proper vehicle is a letter or email?
Yeah, an
Or do you
email.
prefer letter?
Either way is fine.
And it goes to the,
You can send it to Rich, and then Rich will send it to myself and the board clerk.
okay, so Rich as the point person?
Yeah, I would
Okay.
just keep him as the point.
Okay. And then maybe in that letter too, if we could spell out the 2 different remonstrations. This is if you just generally don't believe in the project. There'll be another date and time where if you disagree with the proportionality of which you're allotted or the allocation you're allotted, that's for a later date. So if we could explain that, I think that'd be good.
So if an individual's in support of the project but not in support of the assessment?
They should not.
They should not object to the project if they're in support
Correct.
of the project and wait, because Rich, I think you remember there was one communication that said that they were told by their legal counsel they can't remonstrate until the project is completed. And I said, that's not 100% correct, you can
Right.
remonstrate, okay, all right. So-
Yeah, that's correct. And those, that property owner indicated they were not against the project, they were against their particular assessment. So,
We can have those
Potential.
debates, I guess, after the project's
Yeah, I
done.
mean, that's- presumptive.
Yep. All right, so is there a motion to go ahead and approve item 5, knowing that we're changing the date, or at least we're recognizing the fact that the date will be moved to October 9th?
Make a motion.
Motion by Jason, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jeff, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Same for item 6, is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Jeff, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jason, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to the contract associated with this project, is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Jason, is there a second?
Second.
The only thing I would hold on this is a notice to proceed till after October 9th. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thanks, Rich, for your work on this. Lindsay, your work on this as well.
Yeah.
Item 8 is request to approve a 116th Street curb cut for Magnolia Grove Salon.
Good morning, Hatem Mekki, City of Fishers Engineering. This is a request for a new development curb cut along 116th Street.
Gainer, can you pull up the graphic on this? Thanks.
This property is located just east of Cornerstone Lutheran Church. The request here is just to move the curb cut, the existing curb cut, about 70 foot east, and not changing any access as far as the median across from it. And I think that is pretty much the request here. They will be working during the hours of 9 to 3 to abide by the city rules for
House has
116th
been raised
Street.
already.
So this will be a right in, right out?
Yep.
Bill, did we ever get anything back from the church?
So we've got space allotted to go to the north to connect to the church, but the church thus far has shot us down on any connectivity. And they have a future growth plan, and they don't wanna shoot themselves in the back for their. We've allotted for space to go to the north. Time will tell if anybody uses it.
Yeah, because I went out and met with the church to try to get them to get on board with these folks being able to jump over to the church drive and then consolidate drives there. But being that it's only a right in, right out, there aren't as many points of conflict that one would be concerned about. Do you guys have any questions on this one?
No. And there's no median cut, just on the curb? The
Just
north curb
right in, right
only?
out. Yep.
Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Thank you.
One step closer. Next up is request to approve special purchase patrol vehicles for the police department. Tabitha, I didn't think you were gonna show up. Big ass.
Big one. Morning, Tabitha Miller with Fleet Management, requesting approval to purchase a whole lot of cars. This is not our norm. With the industry being the way it is and things going on, we need to move rather quickly. So requesting the approval to purchase as soon as the order bank's open.
So can you explain why we have such an unusual number of cars?
This is actually budgeted 22 purchases, budgeted 23 purchases, and budgeted 24 purchases to start. Some of the 22 purchases are actually already ordered. So this is just to cover in case they're canceled due to the current situation. They could end up canceled and we will have to reorder. So the probability of ordering all 49 cars off of this approval is small. We actually did just get confirmation that 6 are to be built in November of the original 18. As long as that holds true. 21, 22. Early 22, yeah, sorry. All the different years are starting to become.
So to put things in perspective, how many police cars do we have total?
Total 171.
We're buying
currently.
49.
Correct.
And these addition or replacement?
No.
Replacements.
So is it gonna be sequentially scheduled, over this time period, or we're all 49 at once?
I doubt we get all 49 at once, but if it requires us to order all 49 at once, I will order.
And then Jeff, you were asking, were they fully
Yeah,
outfitted?
This is just the car, but.
Just the
right,
car.
Yeah, so then there's the.
Then there's the
outfitting cost.
upfitting, which is another reason why I kind of hope all 49 don't hit at once, because that would be another year process
Yeah.
to get those all built.
Yeah. just finding a place to park 49 cars would be
Yes.
difficult.
Would be difficult.
These are unusual times we find ourselves with our fleet.
Yeah.
As we've talked about with the fire department, so goes the police department, ambulances, you name it, all across the board, facing these challenges. The only comfort is that we are not by any means the only community facing these challenges.
No, and we're actually still doing fairly well compared to a lot of communities. I mean, they've got vehicles, 220,000 miles running frontline,
Yeah.
so we're doing well.
All right, is there a motion? Go ahead, Jason.
So after this is approved, you still go through your bidding process like you have in the past, right?
No.
Or-
I will still get the government discounts,
Yeah.
but we will more than likely not have the time to go through the bidding process. The last couple order banks have opened at 8 a.m. and closed at 5 p.m. So the standard time to order this dollar amount of vehicles takes about a month because of the way they would have to be in the paper for 2 consecutive weeks. Then I have to wait for a board. So no, I wouldn't have
It's
time
got,
to do
well,
that.
and so just to add some color on this, the amount of money that actually is retained by the local dealer is like a couple $100 a car.
Yes.
I mean, so the bidding that you get into really is on 2 things. One is on that number, which it might fluctuate $50 a car. The other component is in on your trade-ins, and we'll just do we'll do a competitive process for trade-ins, I assume, and figure
I
out
can
how
do
to
it separate.
I
how
see.
to surplus. So really, what we're basically doing is just factory direct. Like,
Yeah.
order the cars, the price is the price, and the only thing you're really paying is like some sort of middleman fee, which is nominal in the
Very
comparison to the overall police
Yeah,
car.
Gotcha.
In fact, if you talk to the dealers, these police cars aren't really.
They say they're not even worth it to sell. They just get their numbers up for the other benefits they get
Yeah.
for the volume of sales they do.
Civic.
It's almost a direct contract, really. At the end of the day.
Yeah, it isn't like an individual buying a vehicle where you could go several $1,000s difference. It's normally within a few hundred.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So like we did this before with the Tahoe, and then once she actually is able to purchase them, she'll put the actual purchase on the consent agenda, so you'll see what
Okay.
process was
Prices.
used and
Okay.
how much.
If there's time to bid, I absolutely will.
Okay.
But I doubt seriously there will be time to do the bid process.
So we can utilize special purchase.
Yeah.
Special
that's
purchases.
Perfect.
Okay, if there are no other questions, there's a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Jason, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jeff, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Tabitha.
Tabitha. Request to approve a supplemental amendment for professional services related to opioid settlement.
This one's me. This is a pretty easy supplemental amendment for attorney fees as part of the agreement with the defendants in the opioid litigation. The attorneys agreed to decrease their attorney fees, the contingency fee, from 33 1/3% to 8.7%. So they asked us to execute an amendment to that effect, saying that we agree to decrease the contingency fee.
Why would they do that?
Just to get it settled.
Ah, I was gonna say that's a pretty significant reduction.
Sure.
There's a lot of money there, so.
So, yeah. 8% still looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Jeff, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jason, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is request to approve reimbursement agreement for Metro Park Building 2 sanitary lateral. Mackey.
Good morning, Hatem Mekki, Director of Engineering. Before you is an agreement between the city and Metro Building 2. This development is just west of Masters Road. It's called Patch Development. This is to connect our sanitary main that runs down Masters Road to their building. We have an agreement with them that not to exceed 20% of the cost for this lateral. The cost actually came in a little bit low. This agreement was up to $25,000. The estimate in the current construction costs is that it's only $15K on the city. This work has already been done as part of the airport sanitary project. So this agreement will actually reimburse the city for the amount of approximately $60 grand.
Any questions?
No.
Seeing none, is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Jeff, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jason, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is request to approve construction grant agreement for Rosanna Village low-pressure wastewater system.
For the record, I'm Tim Mecchia, Director of Engineering, and this is the construction grant agreement for Rosanna Village. This is the agreement with the IFA for construction of the low-pressure wastewater system. This is the agreement is basically for the construction of this project. There is a 25%, I guess, 75 from the IFA, 25% from the locals themselves. This is, the repayment from the locals is approximately 20 years, a little bit more than 20 years just because of the contract that came in. It was just a little bit over the estimate price, and the approximate cost per month for the property owners is about $45 a month. So that goes until approximately 25 years.
Any questions for Mecchie?
No.
Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Motion by Jason, is there a second? Second by Jeff, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. Seeing no other agenda items, I do want to make a note that there was a public comment that we all received discussing the road closures for the Guy Staff Marathon, and this individual's displeasure with not being able to get out of their home during the race. So we're working through that from a Parks Department standpoint, and hopefully we'll be engaging those residents to try to alleviate some of their concerns. Other than that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Jason, is there a second? Second by Jeff, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.